Hello everyone and welcome to the Smashi Business Show. Today is Wednesday, September 17th, 2025 and I'm Abdul Majid Awan.
And I'm Warid Ahmed, and we've got a packed show for you today. Firstly, Tel Aviv Stock Exchange slumps as Israel is to launch a Gaza military offensive. Abu Dhabi's MGX has joined Silver Lake to acquire minority stake in Intel's chip unit. And Humain explores AI partnership with BlackRock and Blackstone. And MNT-Halan partners with lean technologies to expand credit access to the UAE.
And the very first story today is very interesting. The stock market, Tel Aviv, will open again today, and we'll see what effect it has today. But yesterday, the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange in Israel, the main stock exchange, tumbled sharply after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirmed a major military offensive in Gaza City. The TA-125 dropped 1.8%, the TA-35 fell 1.6%, the TA-90 lost 2.3%, and the TA Insurance Index plunged 2.9%, reversing recent record highs sparked by ceasefire hopes, which Israel actually killed when they attacked the Hamas office in Qatar.
Economists warn the renewed offensive could drive long-term economic costs, higher government spending, and larger fiscal deficits, raising concerns about Israel's credit rating. Netanyahu's rhetoric about Israel becoming a super Sparta and facing global isolation further unsettled markets. Now, business leaders and tech representatives criticized the statement, citing risks to investment and competitiveness.
A lot of analysts expect heightened volatility in Israeli markets, and investors weigh the effect of military escalation against fiscal pressures. Key sectors, including insurance and tech, are likely to see uneven performance. Market participants are closely watching defense spending plans and budget adjustments, anticipating the impact on public finances and corporate profits.
Now, diplomatic isolation risks could have long-term economic consequences, which I know a lot of people would like to hear, with foreign investment potentially declining. Now, observers note that continued conflict may shift budget priorities toward defense, limiting resources for infrastructure, social programs, and economic growth initiatives. Financial institutions are also preparing for potential liquidity and credit challenges in the coming months.
And lastly, investors will monitor developments closely. We will monitor developments closely also, not only on the business front, but also on the political front, because this is, I think, the last offensive that they're going to do. And they're doing a ground offensive now. They're not doing airstrikes. So including any potential expansion of the conflict, ceasefire negotiations, and government strategies to balance security demands with economic stability. Market analysts emphasize that short-term declines may continue, but long-term impact will depend on the conflict's duration, which is already in its 2 years. It will also depend on international responses. The UN recently signed a whole, there was only 10 nays and I think 160 plus yeas in favor of a two-state solution for Israel. So international response is very clear on this. And it also depends on Israel's fiscal resilience, which means if they have the money to keep this war going for another year or 2 years or whatever they're trying to do.
America has the money to keep this going.
Yeah. To be honest, the statements that came out from Prime Minister Netanyahu, the best way to explain it is in a Gen Z word called delulu. It's not even delusional. I think he's gone beyond the word delusional and he's gone delulu completely. He's calling himself and his army and their attacks equal to Sparta, where they were like 100 men and they fought against such a big force.
I just think this is like real evil. This is like real evil that we're seeing.
It's beyond the point of comprehension for any human being that his economy is suffering. The budget last year was passed at the last moment before the assembly, their own assembly was in the danger of being dissolved. That then it was passed. Even then, the opposition was so strictly against it. I remember one of the opposition leader actually, he said a very nice thing that you're taking the money from normal people, you're taking the food from their table, you're taking the food money from their banks, which they use for all the things, and you're just buying bombs from it and bombing a civilian population. So even in Israel, we always see people like Ben Gvir and all these people who have been sanctioned by now so many countries because of their statements equating to a genocidal statement, which we know is happening, but they don't agree with that. But all of them, we see all of them because there's so much in media, but we never see another side of the Israeli politicians which are against all of this, which don't want their money being burned in bombs and being bombing civilians for no reason at all.
But you know what it also is, I think, Majid, with all of this? I think that we don't probably see their opinions because their opinion isn't really the majority opinion in the end of the day. I remember I saw this video online and it was someone bringing up how there was this mother of a hostage, a Hamas hostage, and she was like, oh, like, you know, I really want my son back. And then when they asked her, what do you think about what's happening? Like, you know, Gaza is starving. She was like, no, they're not starving. So I think it's the fact that it's not a majority opinion. But oh my God, you know what's something really interesting, Majid? I was reading Semaphore Gulf's newsletter this week, and it was so interesting how they dedicated an entire section to Charlie Kirk. Allah yarhamu, he passed away in a very clear assassination. But it was I was reading through it, and basically the entire piece was essentially Charlie Kirk, for the longest time ever, has been a very grand supporter of Israel, and that apparently, allegedly, according to them, the night before he died, him and his producers were sitting in a Zoom getting ready to answer questions about Israel, and that regarding him, people were scared that he was changing his opinion regarding what is going on. And it's so interesting because I really thought like
becoming Piers Morgan?
Probably.
Yeah.
But you know what it is? Candace Owens, it's interesting because I was reading through it. I really thought like there was some like piece of like a business fact there that I was going to find. But no, it was just really about Charlie Kirk. And it's interesting how all of these things tie into each other at the same time.
Yeah.
How America is deeply rooted into all of this. It's honestly, it's almost scary. Like it really is. I think that it really does impact energy. But yeah, it's just.
Yeah. Yesterday there was a news. I don't know how true it is. Arab news did it that U.S. and Qatar, Doha, they're going for a new defense deal. And I read that headline, and the very first thing that comes to your mind in this situation is why. You are already allies. You've signed so many $300+ billion of deals in this aircrafts and all that. When Trump came, you're already paying them so much. Why would you want US to sign a defense deal with you when clearly their friend Israel can attack you when, wherever, whatever they want? So why would you sign a deal with US? I'm not criticizing the Qatar government or their move if they're doing that defense deal. The idea is that even with US on your side, you can't stop Israel because apparently right now they're super Sparta.
Do you know how much it's worth?
No, there was no details mentioned.
Okay.
It was just like they are in early negotiations and they will sign a deal most probably, maybe buying more weapons, more anti-aircraft, more this, more that. But it's becoming so complicated for even us who like live and breathe every day these deals and everything to understand that why would this happen? Oh, why did this happen? Oh, is this linked to this? Is that linked to the maybe the very wild, outrageous theory that maybe Israel attacked, it was orchestrated by US that attacked them and then they'll sign more defense deals with us. You can, people can make A plus B is equal to C or A is equal to B is equal to C kind of a situation. But yeah, things are happening. The next thing that I look forward to is the 22nd September French Saudi-led conference where they're going to propose all the final solutions. We saw one Arab meeting which we talked about, the $52 billion plan of returning Gaza to its original
I feel like it completely disappeared, by the way.
I think it will be brought back in that meeting, or I think it was just a plan. It was something that they thought we should have just in case Israel comes to senses, which it is not absolutely. So
I don't even
let's
think
see
it's
what
about
happens in
senses.
September
I think
2022.
it's about humanity.
It's about humanity. We've said that like 1 million times, but we have realized that they don't think about that. So maybe maybe they come to their senses also. So yeah, next story, let's move on before we talk about more political stuff on a business show. But we always say business and politics are at an intersection. You can't really separate them. But yeah, next up, Abu Dhabi. Their AI investment firm MGX has joined US private equity giant Silver Lake as a co-investor in acquiring a majority stake in Intel's chip unit. So Intel also makes chips. If someone doesn't know and is listening, Intel was in my time when I was a young person and we bought the first big computer, PC, personal computer. Intel used to be the main chip provider. Now everyone talks about NVIDIA, AMD and all that. But Intel was the main one, and their chip unit is called Altera. So Intel will retain a 49% holding in Altera, while the deal, which closed on September 12, values Silver Lake's majority control at approximately $3.3 billion.
Originally, Intel had agreed to sell 51% of Altera to Silver Lake in a transaction valuing the unit at $8.7 billion, far below the $17 billion Intel paid in 2015. Now, the value of MGX's investment was not disclosed. The deal reflects global shifts in semiconductor ownership and investment strategies.
And for the UAE, MGX involvements highlights its strategic push to secure semiconductor access and strengthen its role in AI supply chains. When we talk about AI, we only know, at the very base level, we think, oh, it's ChatGPT, it's that. But it has a whole infrastructure behind it. Data centers, first of all.
AI chips.
The chips that are part of it. The human capital that you need. So yeah, UAE is trying to be a part of everything, be at every front. And this investment basically then aligns with Abu Dhabi's broader technology ambitions, signaling the Emirates' intent to actively participate in high-value global tech sectors from AI to chip manufacturing.
Now, MGX, chaired by His Highness Sheikh Tahnoon, has previously backed OpenAI, XAI, and a $30 billion AI infrastructure fund with Microsoft and BlackRock. Now, Silver Lake is also familiar with Abu Dhabi, having co-invested with MGX in Khazna data centers and partnered with Mubadala in taking Endeavor private, demonstrating a growing UAE and US tech collaboration.
And finally, the acquisition underscores Abu Dhabi's strategic positioning in the global technology and AI sectors, combining financial leverage, because they have the financial leverage, with industry partnerships. Analysts say the move strengthens the UAE's influence in semiconductor markets and AI infrastructure, potentially enabling the country to play a more central role in shaping the next generation of global technology supply chains. You don't give us chips, we will buy a company and we'll make chips.
Exactly.
That's the idea.
That is definitely the idea.
Yeah.
And I think, you know what this also links with, Majid. A while ago, we covered this story essentially about how, due to U.S. Senator backlash, the UAE has not been able to receive the 500,000 NVIDIA chips that it's been promised by the U.S. during Trump's visit in May. Essentially, they promised them that they were going to give them some of the most premium NVIDIA chips, 500,000 of them to be specific. 100,000 of them would specifically go to Abu Dhabi-based companies. And then the other 400,000 would go to other tech companies who are trying to house data centers or, I guess, headquarters in the city, in Abu Dhabi. And essentially, it was not approved. They did not receive it yet. So I think that it's very smart of them to go to Intel, to join in this deal with Silver Lake, because we all know that if they go to the Chinese, they're going to make it an even bigger problem. So I think that this is so essential. This is so important. You never want to put your eggs in one basket, and the UAE has never done that. And that's why it's been successful for the longest time ever. They don't rely on one person. They really don't rely on one person. We've seen how they have, Majid, when you really deep how many investments they've done, this is world domination, but in the best form possible. For me, something I'm so interested in is, that new AI firm in France that's popping out. I think it's called Minstrel.
Mistral. They have
Mistral.
Lesha as their
And-
chatbot, yeah.
And it's such an interesting company because I believe that they're basically the company that was in charge of like building that really big data center just right beside Paris. They're
Yeah.
doing a great job with France. And a while ago, we covered this story on how MGX invested in them. And then, you know, we're always hearing a lot about the UAE's influence in Africa, their investments there. So they've really diversified quite literally everywhere. They have not left any stone unturned.
I would like to add here this thing that if you look at these investments, these are not like private to private investments or like a public to private or a sovereign wealth fund to a private company investments. I remember President His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, he visited France and they signed a deal around 20 billion of AI investments that they'll do in each other's country. So even MGX investing into Mistral is part of that deal. And we saw when Mr. Trump came, we did cover that trip in very detail. Even the 600 billion that Saudi has offered in terms of investments in Saudi Arabia in the next 4 years, and Trump's basically the whole time he's the president. It's not just like Saudi Arabia will write a checks for 600 billion and just hand it over to US and they can cash it. It's going to be a Saudi company which will invest in. And we did a whole list of partnerships in our newsletter. You should read our newsletter if you don't to get the details. But I'll still tell you that there was like 20 plus deals that we saw where one company from Saudi Arabia, Saudi born, Saudi originated, they were investing in a US company. Then some US company was setting up a headquarter in Saudi Arabia. So it was kind of a to and fro deal. That is how investments actually happen when you go into the details. It's not just like writing a check or like putting cash on the table and you're like, yeah, Mr. Trump, you can take this to your country.
We know how the
Yeah.
stereotype goes. You
Yeah.
know,
So-
royals just writing off checks,
Yeah.
but it's not true.
Yeah, and even in this deal, His Highness met our president, UAE president. He met the French president, Emmanuel Macron, and the deal was signed and they invested in Mistral. I think this MGX deal into Intel is also part of what UAE promised, that they'll invest $1 trillion, big amount, over 10 years in US. And you remember His Highness Sheikh Tahnoon met Trump, went to the White House, had dinner with him, met a lot of people on that trip.
He did.
So I think this also is part of that 1 trillion investment because recently Intel was doing really bad, is still doing really bad. And Mr. Trump, the president of US, he said, we'll save it. We'll save Intel. So now the US government is investing in Intel and they promised, I think, $1 billion, 1 or 10 billion. Don't remember exactly, but they invested some money from the US government in Intel. And that day the stock price shot up also.
There was also that company called Paragraph. It's UK based. They make these graphene chips. And just very recently, I'm pretty sure that Mubadala bought out a majority stake in them. And apparently, according to the national news, right before this entire deal was settled, Paragraph, the company was struggling.
Yeah.
They were losing all of their money. The UK government was not approving the sale of that stake
Yeah.
because you know how they're very techie about foreign ownership. But you just mentioned the $2 trillion. Was it $2 trillion investment?
I think it was $1 trillion
the
that UAE will do
I think
in
it was
10 years.
1.4, I believe.
1.4?
I believe so. But
More than
anyways,
$1 trillion.
Let's get into it because it's interesting because just recently this report came out from the New York Times and
Yeah.
what it was is they think that they've connected the dots, but basically what they said was that His Highness Sheikh Tahnoon, essentially right before that entire deal happened, before his trip to Washington, he had invested $2 billion in Binance, a crypto exchange, using digital coins from World Liberty Financial.
Yeah.
And World Liberty Financial is a crypto company owned and operated by Witkoff.
Steve Witkoff, yes.
And the Trump families.
Yeah.
And then right after that, they say that, that this is when he flew off and he was able to get the NVIDIA chip deal that he wanted for the country. But I think, it's crazy, Magic, but when they mention this and they're connecting the dots, why does no one mention that these chips have still not been approved? They've still not received them.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
completely
a long
unfair, I
bureaucratic
think.
process.
It
See,
seems to be.
the first intent letter is signed that they will get it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it goes to approval. It's not, we're not Israel that they'll quickly just sign all the details, jump the Senate committee and just sign the weapons deal and send them the weapons. We are obviously UAE. So they take time, they go to the Senate committees, there's hearings, there's defending, there's like no why, there's like questioning. It takes a lot of time for actual thing to take place. The first intent letter is always signed. Whatever we see, whatever the deals are, these are the first intent letters, technical term. But that is like, oh, we will do it, but we will later figure out the technicalities, the basics, the minute details, like the long form contracts, we'll figure out later. But right now we're signing it. Even the Boeing deal that Qatar signed, we saw the folder. I think it was hardly one page in it, which they signed. And then later the details come that how will you pay us? Will you finance it from banks? All the details come up later. Not going into those details, but all the deals, the idea is all the deals that we signed with US, they are in these processes, in these buying and selling, they are taking shape. So if you ever sit down and think, where is the 1.4 trillion deal? Where's the 600 billion Saudi deal? Where's the Qatar's this deal? They are happening, and this is how it happens. It doesn't happen like, again, they don't write a check and they cash it. It happens through these deals. Yeah, and the next story is more AI, but we are going to our neighbors, Saudi Arabia, and their new AI company, Humain, which was launched when Mr. Trump was visiting Saudi Arabia, is in early stage talks with global private equity firms, including Blackstone and BlackRock, to invest in data centers and AI infrastructure. The discussions aim to channel significant capital into the kingdom's AI ambitions, though no final agreements on structure or funding size has been reached.
Humain, owned by the $1 trillion Saudi Public Investment Fund, chaired by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, recently broke ground on its first data centers, with operations expected in early 2026. The company is procuring semiconductors from the U.S. Chip makers such as NVIDIA, and plans to expand capacity by 1.9 gigawatts by 2030, reinforcing Saudi Arabia's AI infrastructure strategy.
And the company counts Qualcomm and Cisco as partners and is exploring data center deals with Elon Musk's xAI. Basically, he'll rent out the space. So Saudi officials continue to back Humain despite lower energy prices and sluggish foreign investment, highlighting the kingdom's commitment to Vision 2030 and making AI a central pillar of its economic and technological transformation.
Humain Ventures, a $10 billion fund launched this summer, has started deploying capital into AI initiatives. The potential partnership underscores the strategic role of Gulf sovereign wealth in funding capital-intensive technology sectors, signaling the kingdom's intention to secure a leading position in global AI and data infrastructure development.
And lastly, the move mirrors wider Gulf investment trends. Qatar's $524 billion QIA, Qatar Investment Authority, which is their sovereign wealth fund, backed Anthropic's $13 billion financing round, while Abu Dhabi's MGX, we just talked about it, has already invested in OpenAI, which has ChatGPT, xAI, which has Grok, and they have also teamed with BlackRock and Microsoft on a $30 billion AI infrastructure plan. Analysts see this as a coordinated push to dominate next-gen technology markets.
I think, with this entire Humain story, Majid, I think I've told it a bunch of times on the show, but I think, who's a real quiet winner in all of this, who saw the data center potential in Saudi? It's Hussein Sajwani.
Oh, yeah.
He was pictured a long time ago. This was not this year, and I don't even think last year, basically saying that, we're expanding, we're committing some investments to Dammam in Saudi Arabia. We'd like to invest in their AI there. And I think that he deserves credit for that. The Dammam billionaire, Dammam Properties, first Trump golf course, one of Trump's dearest allies and friends, I would say.
From the Middle East.
But you know what, though? I love their relationship. I know that some people may find it problematic or just completely unfair, but I love to see their relationship because it just looks so symbiotic. They are equally benefiting from this, and I think this is what we love to see. Sajwani, he got to have his first Trump golf course, and Trump, he got to have that big investment that Sajwani made in data centers in the U.S. But really, Sajwani is also benefiting because this is a new market for him. But I just thought that he deserves credit, Majid, because it's like he saw that potential in Saudi. he realized and it's even funny, by the way, because he went on this podcast and he was basically saying how like Saudi Arabia does not like compare to Dubai, and it's really big with a very large population, and I know that for some people this may have been insensitive, but he does have a good point there. Saudi Arabia does have big land. It is somewhere where, to be honest with you, data centers are the perfect location right now.
Yeah, you can use solar energy in their vast desert where you can harness solar energy to power these data centers, which love energy. I won't go into a lot of detail because I'll share a clip today, but Yasser Al-Rumayyan recently was at the economic something, I forgot the name of the place.
Oh, I saw it.
Yeah, that one, we're making a cut. I'll share it on socials. You can see. But he that talk, after like a long time, I finally heard the story of PIF. And he's like, it was born before, like 1 year after I was born. I was 1 year, in 1971, I presume. 1975, he was born in 1974. He says it was born, but till 2015, till Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman came, it was only like at $100 billion. That's it. That was the value. And then he is like, when I was brought into the picture, he then talks about his own experience. He's the governor of PIF. He's the head of PIF, basically. The chair is Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. So he tells that, oh, I come from this, I did this. And then he says that I wasn't brought on to run PIF. I was brought on to run a statistic something center, because he explained the idea and I loved that idea. And to be honest, whenever someone tells a story about Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, I'm like, this guy is a genius. He's like, all the Saudi Arabian decisions, be it economy, be it infrastructure, any decision, even if we want to extract more oil, it was taken with some people in consideration. They would come, they would give their suggestion, opinions. It was very human. That this person is saying this, these are like 5 people who are experts, they say it, we'll do it. He's like, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman wanted evidence now. So that is why he hired me and he made me the head of that specific, I don't know what,
you mean the PIF governor?
No, not the PIF governor, of that statistics something bureau kind of a place. And he's like, I worked there, and then whenever there was a decision taking, I would go and verify it through evidence. My whole team would verify it through evidence that if we want to extract more oil, do we have enough oil? What is the oil price being? If we want to build infrastructure, we want to invest, for example, 10 billion in roads and everything. Do we have the money? How will we recover the money? Etc. etc. He tells a very nice story. It's a 1 hour long podcast. I haven't heard all of it. I've heard the first half. But then he's like, he wanted evidence. He wanted numbers to prove everything. And then he's like, when we did the work and every decision was now number backed, evidence backed, fact based, he's like, I want you to run PIF. And that is how Yasser Al-Rumayyan is now the face of PIF, you know, in a sense, because remember, even when the FII event in US happened, FII Miami, Yasser Al-Rumayyan was one of the people that Trump called out, like, oh, Yasser Al-Rumayyan is here.
Big shout out to him.
Yeah, Elon Musk was there. The ambassador, what's her name?
Princess Reem.
Yeah, Princess Reem. So he is one of the people who Trump keeps very close because he knows he runs PIF. So yeah, it has a lot of interesting things in that. One of the things that I'll just say and leave it to you, he said that Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman thinks that oil is poison. Because if we keep extracting oil, which we have a lot, my people will become complacent.
That should be the hook of the video.
Yeah, that is why I'm saying I'll just keep you there. You like think about it as word says, deep it. He considers oil poison. Why? Because he says if I keep extracting it, my people will never work and they'll stay complacent. But yeah, there's more details to it. So yeah, he gives the example of Portugal, by the way, that they had so much gold, and look at Portugal right now. So yeah, that, and next up is another interesting story. It's a combination of 3 countries. So MNT-Halan, which is a unicorn in Egypt, they have a UAE unit also. They have partnered with Saudi financial infrastructure provider Lean Technologies. Now this company is Saudi, to improve credit access for individuals and small businesses using Lean's open banking technology. Halan MNT UAE the UAE version of the Egyptian company, will access consenting customers' bank statement data, enabling more accurate credit scoring and expanding financial services to those without traditional credit histories.
The initiative, set to launch this autumn, will offer products such as salary financing and send now, pay later. The move tackles financial exclusion in the UAE, where an estimated 3.7 million people remain unbanked or underbanked, providing undeserved groups and SMEs with greater access to digital financial services.
And Halan's approach mirrors its strategy in Egypt, their birth country, where financial inclusion surpassed 76%. By leveraging open banking, the company aims to strengthen the UAE's fintech ecosystem, expand its footprint in the Gulf. Observers say the collaboration could serve as a model for other digital lenders seeking to broaden credit access regionally.
Financial terms of the partnership were not disclosed. Halan continues its regional growth, having expanded into Turkey and Pakistan in 2023. UAE operations are now positioned as a key hub for the company's international strategy, reinforcing its role as a leader in digital financial services and financial inclusion across emerging markets.
And lastly, just to give you perspective, this happened at Money 2020 event. It started yesterday in Saudi Arabia. It's the first time it's happening in Middle East. It's a very big American event where they only talk about how to make money, what to do with the money. It's a very big money event. That's why Money 2020. Bloomberg actually caught these guys and they told Bloomberg about this. But market watchers will monitor how open banking adoption affects credit distribution and whether other Gulf fintechs follow suit. Analysts note that this collaboration could accelerate digital lending, improve risk assessment, and provide a blueprint for combining technology and finance to reach undeserved populations, strengthening financial ecosystems across the region.
I think that this is so exciting. It's so exciting for them. You know, the fact
for
that you
me,
have
it was like Egyptian company set up
Right?
in UAE,
And-
Saudi company, and they're working to work in UAE, helping UAE customers. I was like,
You know what?
is-
I love it, Magid,
Yeah.
because look, as much as I love, I'm going back to them again. They're amazing. As much as I love the Sawiris family, Egypt's richest family, it's good to know. It's exciting that you have these other winners who are going to come in and take that crown someday, because I feel like the competition isn't really that tough for the Sawiris family. You need more people like MNT-Halan. We're going to see what's going to happen. We're going to see how they evolve. We need more companies like Breadfast, Egyptian based.
Is there?
Yeah, and it's like, I know
Egyptian
someone
idea.
might say, oh, but Breadfast, it's a grocery delivery company. It can't make that much money. Like, did you guys not just recently hear how Noon might possibly IPO and it's going to value it at $10 billion? Like, that is crazy. There is so much
Delivery
money.
service,
Right? There is so
and
much
we
money
already
in
have
these
proof.
ventures.
We saw it with Talabat. Talabat,
Yeah, we
when
did.
they went for IPO, they were valued at 12 to $14 billion between them, and they're more highly valued than their parent company, Delivery Hero, which is valued at $10 billion. So
Crazy.
imagine you buy a
So
company which
crazy.
becomes more valued than your parent
It's
company.
like things are changing
Yeah.
so much right now. So it's like, it's exciting that you have more winners like MNT-Halan who are gonna come in and just completely change everything. And who better to partner with than the Gulf?
Yeah.
Honestly, who better?
And MNT-Halan, just to give you a brief intro before we leave, MNT-Halan is not a flashy startup like Tamara or Dhabi. It's a very technical startup which helps people come to banking. So that is why you may never hear its name, or you may never see their, even if they're they're two founders, even if you see them at a stage and you'll be like, what is MNT and what is Halan and what is this company? But they're one of the biggest startups in Egypt right now. They are a unicorn. So just imagine the things that we know, we think we know a lot, but all these things are working in the background and we don't know about it. And these guys are building something that the country eventually will stand on, the open banking infrastructure. UAE recently passed the law for open banking, so a lot of these firms are getting licenses, open banking licenses. Open banking is basically less paperwork and more transparency and quick services. That's the main idea about open banking. So yeah, you'll keep hearing about them, but I think they deserve, and you have a duty to go and look up these people and follow them and give them the attention that they deserve, because these people are building
They
future
are.
for the Gulf.
And Smashi Business is a perfect
Yep.
place for them. That's a wrap for today, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into the Smashi Business Show. Make sure to follow us across all social media channels at Smashi Business and stay ahead with our daily newsletter. You'll find the subscription link in the description.
This has been a Smashi Business Show, a Smashi Business production, part of the Augustus Media Podcast Network. A big shout out to our more than 2 million monthly listeners across all platforms. You make this possible if you're one of them. We really, really, really appreciate you. Have a great day. We will see you tomorrow on Thursday.